Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo, and I am here to do something that I should have done a long time ago. If you've been watching Legend of the Galactic Heroes on my channel, keeping up with it at all, then you know that I haven't done any for a very long time. For a number of reasons, busyness, new seasonals airing, just general, like, episode 82 kind of really hurt. And I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a break after that, but it's gone on a little bit too long, so we gotta get back to it. But I think the biggest thing, the biggest reason that I've been taking a break is that I've come to the conclusion that having a daily slot isn't a very good idea. It just doesn't work very well. I'm never gonna be able to do it consistently. So, in the interest of ensuring that we actually get some relatively consistent Legend of the Galactic Heroes coming out, I'm going to make it a weekly slot on Mondays, and potentially I'll throw in an episode or two elsewhere in the week, occasionally, but we'll just put it as a weekly slot on Mondays and plan to do a couple episodes at least, each week. Because at present, I don't have anything really on Mondays. There are a couple of seasonals that are airing, but they're not super important or anything. So that seems like the best way moving forward to get some kind of consistency in the Legend of the Galactic Heroes department, which I would like to have because I haven't been. And if you're binging through the playlist, I'm sure that this is really annoying by now, hearing me at the beginning of each video be like, I'm going to get this out more consistently, and then like you don't care because you're just binging the playlist. It's already probably done. But for those people who are watching while I'm doing this, it's kind of rough, and I'm sorry. So hopefully this works. I'll just do it on Mondays, and we'll try to aim for at least 2 episodes. Today will be an exception, though. Today I am only committing to doing 1 episode, and the reason for that is because of the content of last episode. I'm just like, I'm ready to get hurt, is the thing, and it took me a while to get to the point where I was ready to get hurt by this show again. But I can't see this next episode being anything but aftermath. And, like, there are so many people who care about young Wenli. I mean, we outside of the show care about young Wenli. So, this is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. I feel like the people that this has the most impact, I mean, Yulian, obviously. He's practically a father to him. But I also feel like Reinhardt is going to be unexpectedly devastated. Because for so long, young Wenli was the one challenge that Reinhardt couldn't quite accomplish. And now, in this moment when Yang was coming to meet with him, when he finally, like, had a chance at something, some kind of conclusion to their story, it's snatched away from him by subterfuge and treachery. And I cannot see Reinhardt taking that well. Because, enemy or no, Reinhardt not only respected Yang, but valued him as a rival. And now it's taken from him. There's the distinct possibility that one or more factions will not understand the full scope of what's going on, or what happened, or what caused Yang's death, because of the way the plan was executed. Like, from my understanding, they're Earth cultists. They use Fork to get in, I guess, as their figurehead. Fork isn't really necessary for the plan. But they're Earth cultists. They dress up as Imperials, and just because of that alone, like, that could make Yang a martyr for a war that he doesn't necessarily want. And it could play right into the Earth Cult's hands if what they're trying to do is the like original plan A of getting the galaxy to implode and just fight itself to death so that they can reemerge. But I don't know at this point how strong the Earth Cult is. We've had some hints that they're like okay. And obviously I'm beating around the bush. Young Wenli, the character who like up until this point, it's hard to think of him as anything but either the protagonist or uh, a deuteragonist or a primary character. Like he and Reinhard are the core of this story so far. So you remove half of that equation and the balance of the galaxy is way off. I mean, I feel like I expect and dread Reinhard snapping and like becoming a despot. I I don't know. I'm still sticking to my guns with the idea that I've been throwing around of Julian is the final hero or the synthesis character, the character who grew up under Yang's tutelage, but also has seen enough of the world from his own perspective to maybe not be as strict with his ideology as Yang was, because I think we can all kind of agree that Yang, if he has a flaw, it's his unwillingness to stray from perfect adherence to his ideals, especially when it comes to democracy and like, yeah, just his sense of morality and his sense of social morality is extraordinarily strong, and he will not waver from it. And there are multiple instances where we could go back through his past and say, if you had been able to compromise your ideals slightly, you would have been able to obtain them more likely. Does that make sense? Like, if you'd been willing to compromise on the means, you would have reached your ends. Or you would have been more likely to. But that's the whole point, because his ideal is about the means, so it can't work that way. He was too good for this world. Like, quite literally, Yang Wenli was too good for this world. Too straightforward in his ideals. Now, if that's the story that we end up going for, if we go for this kind of concept that, like, obtaining information from multiple perspectives and then synthesizing it into something more complete is generally better. Like, if this is the thesis, is generally better than sticking to some specific ideology or some tradition, then I would think that we would have to start eliminating pure idealists, whatever form they take. Which means that, in my mind, the next person on the block is Oberstein. I know this is kind of weird, but, like, if you think about it, and it's all headcanon, of course, right? Because I don't know that the story is going this way. So it's all conjecture, and maybe it's worthless. But if you think about it from the way that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, like, Yang Wenli, the idealist, is dead. Julian, the character who, to me, sort of embodies a synthesis of concepts, is the one who's left. And I could be wrong. Maybe he doesn't step up. Maybe this is totally different from what I expect. But if the direction we go is, like, morally gray characters win out eventually, then I would expect I would expect Royenthal to be Julian's foil. I know, like, I would expect Royenthal to be Julian's foil, and I would expect Oberstein to hit the chopping block, because he's such a like a hardline, do anything to achieve your ends character. I don't know. kind of blathering at this point. I should probably stop doing that. So let's stop doing that. It's been weeks, and I've had a lot of time to simmer on the events of the last episode and where this story can go from here. So I'm sort of just talking it out. Sorry. Anyway, I'm interested in what's going to happen. I feel like this particular episode is probably not going to go that far into that kind of stuff. But it might give some waypoints and some direction to the story after this huge event. Literally galaxy shaking event. So, as I said, for this first one, I'm only gonna commit to watching one episode, episode 83. In future, we'll try to do more than one episode per day or per Monday, and potentially scatter a couple extras throughout the weeks. So we're looking at like a few months to get through all of Ginga, which I think is fine. It's better than no progress at all, right? Which is what we've been living with, and I'm sorry for that. So we're gonna have it on Mondays. That's what we're gonna do. Let's do this. So I've got episode 83 of Ginga Eiyuu Densetsu up and ready to go. It is at 0 seconds. There will be multiple versions of this reaction video. You can find the picture-in-picture version with the video up there in the description down there. Time-based version will be on YouTube. It'll have any discussion I decide to do at the end. I'm sure there will be plenty on this episode in particular. And there will be a beep beep timer at the beginning. If you want to sync up with your own version of Ginga, that'll work. It'll go boop, 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 beep, and on the beep and the green light is the same frame that it starts playing on my screen, so if you're playing along on your screen, that's probably when you want to do that. Cool? Cool. Everybody understand what's going on here? Cool. So. Oh, I need tea. It's right over here. Oh, it's right here. Okay, good. I have tea. We're good to go. As I said a couple of times, I'm ready for this to hurt. Episode 82 was one of the most tragic episodes of any show that I have seen. Period. And a part of that is just because of the incredible amount of time that we have spent with these characters, building them up and building their worldview, their inner mental state, their persona, their personality, their relationships with other characters, the way other characters see them, their place in history, quite literally. And now we turn the page and find out that this story of history doesn't end the way we maybe wanted it to. So, an amazing episode. Let's see how they chose to follow it up. Beep beep timer goes here. There's no OP. Fuck. Already, and I just like instantly, I got the feels. So, oh my god. It's like disbelief in Yulian's eyes. Like he can't actually comprehend that he's actually seeing this. But he is. There's nothing. There's nothing. Yeah, shake it out. Rub your eyes, it doesn't matter. It's real. Nothing, no sound, no music, no fanfare, but the quiet hum. No, no, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, Yulian. And then it hits. Denial. Anger. Denial. Oh, god damn it, I knew they were gonna do this. Gonna lie down. Fuck, he doesn't know. That's the reader's fear. It's not practice. You already are. Terra. To prevent peace. Oh, it's not revenge for what you've done. No, 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 no. Good. Yep. Hmm. I'd say at least attempt to get some info. There's no value in that. True. I don't think so, man. Yeah, there is a future. Yeah. You need to accept it. We all do. Good. Nobody seems to have misinterpreted yet, so that's good. No choice. If that's the fight worth fighting. But all of that information is in you, Julian. It's all up there. So we need a leader. I've got my vote. Will you step up? You. Hmm. Hmm. Wow. What an effect to cut out the hum. Like a funeral. Yeah. Yeah. God, Julian looks so defeated. Shit. Your family. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Fuck, here it comes. Oh. God damn it, Frederica. Why are you so strong? She's gonna be strong for him. Yeah. It would, but fate had other plans. Me too. Damn it, Frederica. Life goes on. I don't think Yulian is ready. It's a good idea. And it's a good idea. Plus, she's good. Yeah, she's good at it. No, but she's good at it. But it's harsh, but she's ready. Yeah, Dusty's serious. I think the obvious choice for a military leader is Shankop or Chung Yuchan. Hmm. Okay. No, but it's extraordinarily pragmatic. They were thinking of him. Hmm. This is a rough situation, though. And how much power do you actually plan to grant Yulian? Or do you plan to have him as a puppet? Hmm. Fair. Now we gotta broach that subject. Was told to. No expectation from him. No, we need a strategist. And a leader of men. He's dusty. You stuck with this job, dude. Alright, bud. You gonna run into a particular red-headed girl? Why do I have a feeling you are? No? No. But talking it over with your surrogate mom is probably a good move. No one is expecting you to. Isn't that the greatest quality of a leader, though? To not believe yourself worthy of the position and to work to try to become worthy? Be a real fake. Okay. Wow, that does take on such a different meaning. It becomes a challenge. Yes. Yeah, nepotism. Unrest. That's not the point, though. Hi. What's up, Murai? You leaving? Thanks, Murai. Understood. Yeah, you are valuable. Why do you say that? Okay. Makes things easier. Yeah. Yeah. I got you, Murai. Thanks, man. Sucks, but it's understood. And that is why you should be a leader, Julian. Oh, nice shot. Oh. Okay. Yeah, who's gonna. Ah, of course. But that's part of the burden he's taken on. Indeed, he does. Man, oh, so much time we've spent with Mura, and he's always been the stiff upper lip type, and now we sort of see through it just a little bit. And he's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. It kind of recontextualizes, like, a shitload of character moments. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. But leave you with a stronger core. The people who actually want to stay. Okay. 2:30 left, so a full minute. I think that's more than just a preview. We'll see. And now this ending has all of the meaning. Memories. Standing. Stepping up. Okay, let's see if the next. Okay, it is only 30 seconds. I think it's just preview, so. Okay, it's just preview. This wasn't as depressing as I expected, which is a good thing, I think. I think they really nailed this aftermath episode uh in kind of amazing fashion. I wasn't sure how they were going to do it, whether we would be focused on uh funeral and after things, or uh individual emotional character reactions, or pragmatically moving on past it into the future. And we kind of did all three. A bit less on the funeral than I expected, but that's okay. That's just ritual. What really what really struck me was the different ways that the different characters interacted with this event, and the way that it affected them. We see in Yulian, who is our first to discover Yang's body, we see him very clearly go through different stages of grief. Actually, I wanna just quickly Google the like traditional stages of grief to see how it lines up, because I just don't know it off the top of my head. Stages of grief. 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Well, he goes through at least a couple of those. Certainly denial, definitely anger. The depression hits a little bit later, and I feel like we're heading into acceptance by the end of the episode. I'm not sure about bargaining. I feel like you could see some of that in some of his lines to Young's body. But they also seem more like denial. But here, as he takes in the scenery and shakes himself as though it can't possibly be real. But it is. There's no clearing that from your eye. It's no mote of dust. Impossible, impossible. And then, well, he just gets on himself. And then anger hits. And it's just a flurry of rage. Until he finally snaps him out of it. This moment where Yulin is just broken. Fuck. And of course, we flash back through it a little bit. The ones who cry first that win. Yeah. There's no prize. So, having seen Yulian's grief, now we see Shenkop's. We get this moment. He never learns. It'll be okay. Yulian went after him. He'll make it. It'll be fine. He never learns. And Shenkop, already grieving for him. And then he sees. No, 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 don't do this. Don't do this. I wasn't meant to play in a tragedy. No, 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 no. But he immediately knows that it's done. That there's nothing that can be done. He's a soldier. A long-time soldier. He's seen many people die. Many friends die. And so he reacts very differently. He's still shaken by it, but not as much. And we see that in the shiver of his hand when he salutes. And then it's back to business. And Yulian's still on his self-blame cycle, which is entirely understandable, but also you can't blame yourself, man. It's not your fault. Nobody saw this coming. Thorough interrogation. Yep. Brought all the survivors. So there were critics of them not bringing Romskian people. We'll see if that ever becomes like something important. Revenge, revenge, revenge. Patience. Shenkop muses on karma a little bit. Not in so many words, but we understand. And then this line is curious to me. I'm not quite sure what its intent is, but it seems to me to be sort of referring to like the same as the idea of like allegiance to ideals and nations versus allegiance to individuals. That's sort of the feeling that I get from it, but I'm not sure. If I had destroyed those countries rather than abandoning them. Because it almost posits countries, nations as the problem. Which is a bit odd because a nation wasn't the issue here. So I guess maybe that's just an off interpretation. But I don't know how else to read it. The problem is what happens from here on out. And Yulian's kind of still just in shock. He's heading into depression. This is the way of things. Don't plug your ears. Don't bury your head in the sand. This is the truth. This is reality. We have to deal with it now. He always took us by surprise. We have to think about the future. And Yulian's like, future? What the fuck is that? My entire world just shattered. Completely. He's always done everything. So what's the alternative? And again, Shenkop is entirely pragmatic. But Yulian is slowly realizing we're being fed little bits that show us like Yulian that can't happen. He can't let that happen. He can't let them fall apart. We need a successor. And so who could replace Admiral Young? Look in the mirror. Who's gonna tell her? And man, I think that's the most emotional scene in the episode. The first scene with Frederica. Where she just knows. We get these moments. All of these hardened soldiers, strong men who've seen thousands of people die, ordered thousands of people to their deaths. All of them hold together and then break. Poplin always chipper, even in the most dire of situations. Always has a punchline. Even when fairly early on his compatriot, his kind of partner in the fighter squadron, died, he quipped about it a little bit. I can't remember what the quip was, but he quipped about it. But here he doesn't even show himself. He just locks himself away with liquor. Nobody's told Frederica yet. And Miss Kozlanu tells him straight up, "You're part of their family. This is your job. Don't put this on me. You're the only one." And she's right. She's absolutely right. So we steel ourselves for the moment, and she knows. And she's so calm, as though it hasn't sunk in. The calm of someone who was always expecting the possibility. The calm of a military wife. What was new? It was possible, but never expected it to happen. Until now, when everything lined up. And it just was the only thing that made sense. I wish you were a liar, but you're not. And then after so much strength, no, he wasn't, but he did. And as you'll say just a few lines later, in a way it was fitting for him. Yulian runs out of there and, as though he's been holding his breath the whole time, takes a gasp. God, it's perfect. It's just perfect. So then we move to the pragmatic stuff. This is an interesting set of lines from Dusty. It's not the principles themselves, but the individuals who embody those principles that people fight for. People don't fight for the Empire, they fight for Reinhard. People don't fight for democracy, they fight for Yang Wenli. People didn't fight for highness, for freedom, they fought for highness. Maybe. I don't know. So, we decide on Frederica as the political leader. Of course, Yulian is a bit against this, partly because it's so harsh to force her to do that, to suck it up, if you will. But it makes perfect sense. They're right, it can't be anyone but her. And the argument that they have about it doesn't feel like nepotism or hereditary title or anything like that, because he never accepted the title. So she's just stepping into his role. It's quite perfect. Actually, not even his role, a role that he never stepped into. Yeah. And she's a good choice. Yeah. The binding is in the second generation. It's not right. Okay. And then we say, yep, this is going to be really difficult with Yulian himself and also everybody else. He is probably the best choice. Now, I got a funny feeling during this sequence that gave me some vague misgivings. Oh, sort of Frederica-esque. Gave me some vague misgivings. I don't actually think it's where it's gonna go. Because I trust all these characters. That's the only reason. But the situation that we're in is one where we've got sort of a committee or a council that has the actual decision-making ability, and then we've got Yulian as sort of a figurehead leader, charismatic, young, probably talented. Like, we know that he's talented, but he hasn't proven himself multiple times, so young, charismatic, talented. Sort of has some bad vibes to this sort of situation. Sort of has some like regent vibes and potentially some even like people behind the curtain type vibes. But I trust all the characters in play here, so I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, can't avoid that there will be deserters, and El Facio will also drop out, talk about the importance of establishing a core of people who really care. She accepts the position with the stipulation that she actually has power and gets followed when she makes calls, so that's good. And then Julian is told what he needs to do. None of us are gonna be possible. You're the only one. So then we have our second chat with Frederica. And it's not about doing the same things he did. You're not Admiral Young. You're you. You're different. You have a different take on things, but you have a piece of him inside you. And then well, then there are two things that happen here. So one is I hella respect Frederica for the sentiment of I will accept this position knowing that I'm not worthy of it. And part of the reason for that is something that I wouldn't have been able to actually verbalize until watching Nisi Monogatari. I know it's kind of a weird tangent, but a big theme in Nisi Monogatari by the end is the paradoxical reality of being fake. That if you're not really something, but you're trying to appear to be that something, you essentially become it. And to an extent, you are more really that thing because of the effort and work put in to get there than something that was that thing to begin with. In this case, I'm seeing Frederica as the fake politician, right? I'm not really an established politician. I'm not really good enough, but I will try to be. And that makes her, in my mind, more real than real. I don't know if that makes sense. Next year is a wife. How many years, how many decades is a widow? And then we get to, I think, my favorite section of the episode, my favorite set of lines. I don't want the foundation he built to fall to dust. And here we get to what is the motivation of specifically these two characters, the two people who are closest to young Wenli, moving forward. What is their motivation to keep going with what he was doing? And it is to ensure that it wasn't all in vain. And to recontextualize a line that he said, that history books can't be changed by terrorism, recontextualize that as a challenge. Because here we have a terrorist act that threatens to significantly alter the flow of history. And if Yang Wenli's beliefs are correct, and that is what these two characters want to establish, they want to prove it, they want to validate it. If Yang Wenli's beliefs are correct, then they can stay the course, and this event will have no effect on history's flow. We'll see. We'll see. But it's an interesting thing. We will be undermining with our hands his claim that history cannot be changed by terrorism, and I cannot accept that. Never once neglected the obligations that only he could fulfill. And then Julian says, "You're admirable, Frederica." And she brushes it off. He's even insulted by it, I think. I don't care about the ideals. I don't care about any of it. I just want Yang. And then she breaks again. Of course she does. So, there's this layer of unease with people not thinking that Julian is qualified or thinking that he only got the position because of nepotism, essentially. And Murai, knowing this, chooses to leave and be a figurehead for those who would seek escape but not have the courage to do it themselves. Once you realize what he's doing, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense, and it's Well, he's almost martyring himself in a non-deadly way, but he's almost martyring himself, taking on that burden and hatred of being the key deserter in order to allow a lot of others to leave without feeling as much about it. Smart man. It also, as I mentioned, Murai has always been the let's follow the rules guys character. The sort of the mom, right? The drunk mom. um, you know, making sure everybody drinks their water, making sure nobody's passed out, that kind of person. And he sort of winks and nudges a little bit in this episode, like, yeah, I know what I've been doing. Somebody has to. Somebody has to take on that role. It's always distasteful, but somebody has to do it. Thanks, Murai. You're admirable too. Appreciate you. So the Elfhastil government is disbanding, and they basically say there's no point in continuing this conflict. Yulian just like doesn't agree with them, doesn't try to argue against them, doesn't try to stop them from leaving. Just like, okay, you do that, I'm gonna do my thing. Cool. It's fine. This episode as a whole was really good. Really good. It's super difficult to follow up an episode like 82 in a way that feels like it pays respect to what has happened, and takes the right amount of time to mourn without being absolutely and utterly depressing all the way through and having nothing else to it. There's a lot of other things here. Bits and pieces of what is to come. Bits and pieces of characters pulling themselves back together, figuring out what their new roles in their new organization are going to be, figuring out what they need to do to move forward from here. Because the world doesn't stop. Time ticks away. So you gotta be ready. We haven't touched on the Empire at all. It's quite possible that they haven't learned of Yong's death yet. It's quite possible, but I don't know. I wonder how long it'll take before Reinhard finds out. I kind of expect it to be next episode. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how he reacts to it. What kind of action it causes him to take. I wonder if he'll relate Yang and Kircheis in his mind as two important characters or important people who changed the course of his life like boulders in a stream. Maybe. I don't know what it'll do. Okay, it's getting to be about time to wrap this up. I think this was a fantastic episode. Really well paced. Really expressive. The early scenes with Yulian, the scenes with Shenkop, the little shudder in his salute, the scenes with Frederica, how she knows before he even speaks, and she is sort of almost monotonous, sort of blankly accepting at first, as though she'd been prepared for it, until it registers a little bit more and she breaks a little bit more. Seeing Kazalnu break down, knowing that Poplin wasn't able to be out in the open or go chasing skirts. We feel the impact of this event on the galaxy, and I think that's just right. I think it's just right. So, this is the first time we're doing this this Monday Legend of the Galactic Heroes thing. Just one episode today. We'll probably do more episodes in the future. But try to get these out more consistently. Thanks for watching if you've been watching. I've been Teeaboo. This has been Ginga episode 83. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and I hope to catch you next week in the next one. Peace.